Welcome, science friends, to Intro to Aerobic Cellular Respiration. So what organelle makes energy in the cell? This is a really important piece to know. As we all remember from our organelles, mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. They're the ones that are going to be making all of that energy, or ATP, to fuel cellular processes. So just as a quick recap, there's two ways for cells to respirate or respire. There's anaerobic, which we talked about, starts with glycolysis and moves on to fermentation because there's no need for oxygen. This happens with most of our microorganisms, prokaryotes like bacteria. Aerobic respiration, on the other hand, we're taking that glucose, going through glycolysis, but then with the presence of oxygen, we're moving on into aerobic respiration and what those processes will be. So what type do humans use? Well, humans, we do both. We have the lactic acid fermentation. We also go through aerobic respiration. So here's a really good, interesting question to help determine the type of respiration an organism will go through. Do we want oxygen or no oxygen? So with anaerobic respiration, again, no oxygen, and in the front, that prefix means without or no, so no oxygen needed. It occurs in the cytosol, and it has those two processes of glycolysis and fermentation, whether that's alcoholic fermentation or lactic acid fermentation. On the other hand, aerobic respiration, it happens with oxygen, because aerobic means with oxygen. It occurs in the cytosol because it goes to glycolysis, as well as in the mitochondria. And there are many more processes. There's still glycolysis, but then we have three new processes: pyruvate oxidation, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain, the ETC, or sometimes it's called oxidative phosphorylation. Once again, we're always going to start with glycolysis, whether it's anaerobic or aerobic respiration. We're taking glucose and we're splitting it into those two pyruvate molecules, along with ATP and NADH coming out of it. All types of cellular respiration start with glycolysis. Doesn't matter if there's oxygen or not, we always start with glycolysis. It happens in the cytosol, so outside of any of the organelles, just kind of in the cytoplasm, cytosol, sort of jelly area in the cell. Here's a quick overview diagram of what's happening in aerobic respiration. Once again, glycolysis is happening outside of the mitochondria. It's breaking things up from the glucose into two pyruvates, and it's giving us 2 ATP as a result. So what is cellular respiration? It's a process that releases energy by breaking down glucose and other food molecules in the presence of oxygen. So basically, food turns into energy. So after glycolysis, we need to move from the cytosol cytoplasm area into the mitochondria. And there's two really big important pieces to a mitochondria that we need to look at when we're talking about aerobic respiration. So first is the matrix. That's the sort of innermost part. That's the green area you see here. We have the outer sort of bean-shaped membrane, and then we have the inner membrane, which outlines the matrix. And that's where a lot of these processes are happening. Most notably, the last step, the most important step that gives us the most ATP. That was an intro to aerobic respiration. I hope it helped.